Hey everyone, Nick here from Talking Cardboard, once again accompanied by Simon Paul, the designer of Total War Rome, the board game. And how are you doing, Simon?
I'm really good, thank you, Nick. Really
Great.
enjoyed the video doing that with you, so looking forward to this bit of fun. Should be a
Yeah,
laugh.
yes, as Simon alluded to, we did record a video a few days ago that gave an overview of all the components that you're seeing on the table right now. So please check out that video on the Talking Cardboard YouTube page to see what all these different components are doing in the game of Total War Rome, and that will give you a good primer into this video, in which Simon and I are actually going to battle it out in the first Punic War, I think is what you were saying, Simon. Um,
Yeah, yeah.
and I'm handling Rome, which is here we have the faction card for Rome. The current Roman civilization are their home regions, which are located here in Italy, of course, modern Italy at least, and then all the other territories marked with their control markers. Whereas Simon will be controlling Carthage, so they have their home regions down here, and then he's already been taking some terrain over here with his yellow markers, and we already have we're simulating the third round of a typical game of Total War Rome, and specifically a two-player game. So with that said, we'll just get right into it, starting with the very first phase of a game round, which is the initiative phase. So I'll defer to your explanation, Simon, in terms of with the two-player game. I assume we would just randomly get drawn.
Exactly. So just shuffle those around and keep one for yourself, and I would have one on my side, and I don't really need to know what it is. So at this point, we have the choice. We've each got 2 gold left in reserve. If we wanted to place gold in addition as a bet, what we do is hold those in our hands as we turn the card over. Clearly, if you want to conceal it, you take the coins off the table, put them on your lap, and don't have any in your hand, or put them in your other hand, so that when you turn it over, you've got no gold. So I think we can trust each. We'll just make a mental decision, and on 3, shout out how many gold we're wanting to bet. Try to get the initiative. Now, because we've got 1 and 2, the person who, if you know you've got 1, you know you need to bet something if you want to try and win the initiative. Otherwise, you just don't bother. To be honest, in a 2-player game like this, it's less critical. It's more exciting in the 4-player game, because then the direction of travel makes quite a big difference. And in this game, we've set it up that, just to add a bit to Nick's setup, you can see on the charts there that I've got Greece as an ally. So I've got somebody to trade with who I'm leaving alone. And Nick has got the barbarian tribes as an ally marked over there. So that's the situation. So shall we go A, B, C and shout a number out between 0 and 2?
Sure.
Okay. A, B, C, 0.
0. Yeah, same. Okay, so let's just flip.
We're just going to take it as it is. Okay. So I have the initiative. So I can choose who goes first in the direction of play. Now the direction of play obviously doesn't matter, but I'm actually going to take the option, having won the initiative, of having Nick go first, so I can react in this situation.
Okay.
So you turn my card over. Any direction is okay, and that just shows you leave yours face up, because by leaving yours face up, that shows that as a record that you've got the start every time.
Yes.
Okay? So Agent Phase this phase is really simple, really quick, but actually the decision making in it is quite interesting once you get to the middle of the game and onwards, and you've got 3 or 4 players. Because if we were a 4-player game, for instance, if I chose that direction of travel, then my Greek player will be playing before the barbarian tribes. So might do it the other way around and make the barbarian tribes play before my Greek ally.
And
so there are some decisions to make.
One thing I just want to quick point out is that, well, I meant to say this at the very beginning, that this is a prototype copy of Total War Rome, the board game, so some components are subject to change. And I do want to point out, during this shipment, since these aren't the commercial miniature copies, it's probably maybe hard to tell from the bird's eye view, but some of these minis took a little bit of beating, but these are not the actual minis that would come in the game. And I think the tokens used to mark the territories will probably be different in the final.
Faction marker punch board, but that's very difficult to do in a prototype.
Yep. So just want to point that out. And one other big change, well, yeah, change I would say in general is there will be more information provided on the map that you're looking at, and one change will be that the order will be updated where agent phase is actually the second phase and taxation is actually the third phase. So correct, Simon?
Yeah, you're
Yep.
absolutely spot on.
So
So we now move to the agent phase. So
yep.
we replenish our agent cards to either 5, 6, or 7, depending on how many developments we've done on the bottom line of our development tree. And Nick hasn't done any, so he would upgrade to get to 5. So I think you've got 2 there already, so upgrade to 5. And simultaneously, but I'm going to deal them over here, so I've got them. I upgrade to 6 because I've got the extra agent that I did last. So it allows all players to study the cards simultaneously, which speeds the game along to decide what they might want to do.
So I'll just show my hand for sake of demonstration purposes. Simon, I would normally, of course.
It's fine. Don't worry.
Yeah, Simon. Your opponents obviously wouldn't normally see your hand, but as you can see, I probably could have shuffled a little better. I got a little bit of commonality with the eye and the protest symbol. So Simon, if you don't mind, helping me remember the meaning for the
next up his hand. He's got 2 protest options there, which will put 1 unrest on a region of mine and therefore reduce my tax income. And he's landed himself a weird hand. I've never seen one quite like that. He's got a poker full house, hasn't he? You've got eyes over protest. Yeah, so the eye is a spy symbol, so you can play that to look at somebody's army, which actually might be quite a useful one in these circumstances, because we've got 2 armies that are relatively near to each other and we don't know what's in them other than the number of cards.
Yeah.
And the alternative, you can cash any of those cards for the gold during the agent phase, or you can save them to do what's on the bottom. And on the bottom it defines which phase it's in. So there's 2 things that are actually already in the agent phase. Untimely death, that's a cracker. You might be able to accidentally kill off one of my generals who could die of ill health.
Yeah, I was already eyeing that one. I was.
Yeah. And looking at your hand, the willing volunteers one at the end is rather good. You spend some money to recruit and you get extra cards for your money, so that's probably worth saving. And pirate raids is a cracker for trade actions. You steal money from other people's trades, so that's another good one to use that way instead of with an agent.
So going back then to the board here, since it's in the agent phase, I have 2 agents on the board, one in Carthage and one in up here in Cinebum.
Yeah,
Cinebum. And the rules are such that I can move my agents up to a total of, was it 5 areas, or I forget the exact number?
4 regions in total. That can either be land regions or they can travel port to port by sea. It's like hitching a lift on a trade vessel, basically. So you get first go to move them around. I mean, in many cases you place them somewhere and the movement isn't as critical later in the game because they're where you want them. You've already decided, but it's you to go first. So you do your agent moves and play any agent actions you want to do, and then
yeah. So I will go take this agent and move 1, 2, 3, 4 down to Numantia, and then would I at this point use a card if I wanted to use a card, or is
if you want to do so, yeah.
So I'm gonna go and use the pirate, the card titled Pirate Raid card for
Now the Pirate Raid, the ones at the bottom are not done by your agent. The ones at the bottom you can do it. Oh, so you're going to use that particular bit of it.
Yep.
Okay. So you put an unrest mark, which is a black marker on that territory, and that will reduce my tax income in the next tax phase.
So I was able to frustrate the locals to the point where
you picked on a bit of local unrest and triggered them on a bit with a bit of agent provocateur work. That's it. And you've got another agent somewhere?
Yes. So Carthago I have there. So I will go ahead and Well, I mean, I feel like I'll play it for the untimely death
Yeah,
ability.
that isn't an agent action. That just gets played in the agent phase. So
Oh,
that's
okay.
so you can do that in addition to what the agent does on the
Yeah.
agent
Well,
card.
so let's
So
for fun, should we try out the untimely
I,
death?
we're just an alert to her as well. Some of these cards are quite dramatic. In the final version, they're graded red, yellow, and green, so you can choose your level of background chaos. But you should definitely do that. So you can pick the faction, but then it's a random general. So if you've got a dice, or if not, use the initiative card. We need a number between 1 and 4, and one of my generals is going to basically have a heart attack and keel over from natural causes, just as they do in the computer game, as you probably have had experience of. I mean, I had my Numidian leader die in Greece actually once when he was in command of a fantastic army. I had no other generals nearby. So the initiative cards are really handy if you don't want to roll the dice. Just take 4 initiative cards and pick one.
Yeah, I'll go ahead and do that. So I'll do.
Use two, 3, 4, 5, and knock 2 off. It's easier than picking the ones off the table.
Yeah, I will assign.
Give me a shuffle and just flip one out.
So I have 3, 4, 5, 6 for.
And just give me a shuffle and then just pick one out at random. And I'm hoping it's not one of the critical armies. So I want a big number.
All right, so 5, which would be just the competent general, so not a huge.
Army 3. So my army 3 has lost their competent commander, is now generalless. Lovely. Right. So at that point, I'll be looking where my army 3 is. If I'm lucky, it's the one that I've positioned over to the east. That's in Alexandria. Can you just have a look for me, Nick? Is my army 3? Is that army 3 or army 4?
Yeah, army 3 is located here.
Okay, so it's my reserve army. So my reserve army has lost its general. So thankfully, it's not the one in Sicily, which Nick was hoping would have happened.
Correct.
Okay. You still have an agent action to go because that was an event card that you use that for, not an agent action. So you can still do a spying action on if you want to.
So, yeah, let's go ahead and so I can move my agent, as I think Simon mentioned, one area into the C region here, and then another area right here into Lily Bam.
You're in the right place, but technically it's port to port. So you would go from Carthage's port into the Mare Ionton, and then get off at the port there. So but you'd end up in the. But yes, that's how you do it. And the spy action allows you to look at my army. So I'll describe that army. That's army 1, I think.
Yep. Yes, exactly. So
army 1 is quite good. So army 1 has got my talented general Mago Barker. It then has. It's a good one for you to look at because the information is going to be useful. It's got 3 infantry, 2 Libyan spearmen, and a Hispanic Scutari, but it's mainly a cavalry army, so it's probably a good thing you had a look. It's got 3 cavalry. It's got citizen cavalry, Hispanic cavalry, and a peony cavalry. So it's quite a strong cavalry force. And then it's got a Numidian cavalry skirmisher and a Numidian javelin. Do you want me to give you those again and you can pick them out?
Yes, exactly. So we have 2 Libyan spearmen, right?
On Hispanic Scutari.
And then Hispanic.
And the last infantry is a Numidian javelin man. So it's not a big army from that point of view. It's got 4 cavalry cards. It has a peony cavalry, which is the best of Carthaginian cavalry.
Okay.
A Hispanic cavalry and a citizen cavalry and a Numidian cavalry skirmisher, and the army is led by my Mago Barco, my best commander.
Like that.
There you go.
Yep.
And then the Mago Barco, if you want to put him out as well. So you've been able. So that's a spy action is very handy in certain circumstances. Now, tactically, that is quite handy for Nick to know that that's a very heavy cavalry intensive army, because that might affect any decisions he makes in terms of attacking it with his army 1, because he knows what's in his army 1. And if, for instance, he's all legions and very few cavalry, he wouldn't want to fight on an open plain. So there's all sorts of useful information gathered by doing that action.
Yes.
Your agent turned done.
Yes, correct. Okay.
Right. Well, I'm a general down, but we will go for a few things. So my agent in Rome I am going to play a riot card, which is one level worse than your unrest. Your unrest, that puts 2 unrest markers on Rome, and will stop you from getting any income from Rome this time.
So yeah, should I move them over to Rome, right? Yeah. And then 2 unrest.
Yeah.
Okay.
Sure. Yeah, so it caused a bit of trouble there. And then I'm going to do this is an exciting one. The chap who's in Greece, in Athens, in Attica, is going to leave Attica by sea and go to Syracuse, where your army is located.
Oh boy, okay.
And then I've got a card with a dagger on it, which is an assassination attempt card.
Oh gosh, okay.
I'm going to try and assassinate your general. But for that, we have to roll a red dice. I'll let you roll it for me.
Okay.
So you can see it.
Only
I want a skull. If I get a skull, I've killed your general. If I get an S, I've survived and nothing has happened. If it's an X result, your bodyguards have killed my agent. So this is a pretty bloody affair, one way or another.
All right, here we go.
And you can't blame me if you get the skull now. You've rolled it.
Yeah, that's fair.
I would be rolling this.
All
okay.
Right, so miss.
Okay. Sadly, that killed my agent, so my agent's removed from the board. I'll have to spend money by recruiting a new one. So he just goes and sits on the board.
Oof, that was close.
Oh, close. I do have an extra agent though, so I've got 3 agents, so you can actually bring him back on in my home territory.
Okay.
What am I going to do with that one? I am going to do.
Yeah, where should I place him?
He'll start in Carthage.
Oh, okay. Yep.
No, he won't. Actually, he'll start over to the west. Where's the port in my home territory? That's it. And I'm going to go 1 by sea. I'm going to go around the Bay of Biscay. So 1, keep going, 2, another 1, into the one that's not named 3, and then he's going to get off at the port at the top. So he'll end up in Northern Gaul. There we go. He's up there. And he's going to play a Sow Distrust card, which spreading evil rumors about the Romans up in the barbarian territory. So you're
no.
You drop back 1 to the next level down. So you're now only friendly with them. I've made them suspicious of you. There you go. So as you can see, each phase, what you'll find is every phase is quite simple. Once you get the pace up, it's the interaction of them all into a strategy and a narrative that's really interesting. So that's that bit done. Dead easy. The next phase is taxation phase. We add up how much gold we get. So we count up our regions in terms of gold value that's in the little squares, and we knock off the effects of unrest. Now, 1 unrest in a region reduces it down by half rounded up, and 2 unrest completely takes away the tax. So I know you've got all your home regions, and the home regions are worth 12. So the easy way is your home regions are now worth 9 because I've caused some riots in Rome, and then you just add up the rest, which you can do. I can probably eyeball it 9. 17 probably for that. No, 18. I make it 18. You make it 18 from just the regions.
9. You said this Rome's just my home region's 9. Then I would say it's 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. 15, 16, 17, 18.
You get all the islands. 18.
Did I say 18?
18. I got 18 as well. Now,
yeah.
In addition to the 18, in this phase, you get benefits of markets that are connected by road. So you get another 1 for every market that's connected by a road. And I think I'm right in saying you've got a market there. Yeah, you've got 3 interconnected, I think. Is that correct?
Yep.
You're going to claim 3 extra gold for 3 interconnected markets from their trade with each other, effectively. So you're 21.
Okay.
21 gold, and that's a victory point. So you get a victory point for 20 to 25 is 1 victory point. There are thresholds at every 5. So economic power, you've gained a victory point from economic power.
And then I guess I have a market here as well. Does that provide a bonus?
Only connected by a road, but it would add to a trade because it's at a port.
Got it. Okay.
A trade. Interesting. If you've got a trade card, would have been a good one with your ally. You would have got a trade with an ally plus 1 for every market near a port, and all 4 of your markets are at ports. So you would have got 8 gold from a trade with barbarians had you had a trade card.
And then the other. So now that my barbarian tribes are just friendly, is there any benefit to trading now?
it's still okay. You only get three as a base level. So your base levels are two to trade with a neutral, three to trade with a friendly, and four to trade with an ally.
Okay.
So you
So
would have got instead of eight. Yeah. So there's benefit in getting it back up again.
for sure, yeah. Okay.
So I've got 12 for my original regions. And then we'll have to add the other bit. So it's 11, 12, 13, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 27. I think I'm 28. Actually, I think I've got a lot of territory on mine. See if that adds up.
Yeah, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, and then whatever your home regions
Yeah,
are.
some regions at 12, and I've got Alexandra's worth 2, so it's actually 26, the way you were counting it. But I don't have markets connected by roads as much as you do. I have 2, though. There's a very long road running across North Africa. So I
Okay.
get 20, and I get 2 victory points. So I've got more economic clout right now.
So 28. Yep.
Yeah.
So 28 denarii.
28 million denarii, if you want to think of it that way.
Yeah. All right. And then you said 2 victory points?
2 victory points because I topped the 25 mark, yeah.
Okay.
Max 4, but you can get up to 4 from economic development. So as time goes by, the nations gather victory points from sheer economic power, which is why you can play the game to try and win it through economics rather than win it through warfare. So there is a pathway, although I've never seen anybody get all the way purely on economics because obviously everybody attacks them near the end. So the game is kind of self-balancing in the sense that if one player gets well ahead, all 3 other players will naturally start to gang up on them to drag them back. So it's got a bit of self-balancing. So that's taxation phase done. Very easy, but you can see how tactics of different players could affect it a lot. So if you were bombarded with unrest by 3 other players, I mean, I have seen Rome in one test game only get 3 gold in the first taxation phase. The other players all dumped so much unrest in Rome, it was almost like the entire Italian population was in revolt. It took them a while to recover. So we're then into the big phase, which is the one that takes the time, the most time, which is the campaigning phase. So again, you've got first choice, so you're going to now move your armies and navies, and no doubt we might end up with a fight somewhere.
So yeah, let's there were total movement points for an army were was it 4?
You 3.
3.
3 you lose 1 for crossing major rivers or mountain regions unless you're doing it by road. Roads, you can move 3 for 1 movement point. So you've got a lovely internal road which allows some of your armies to whiz around a bit in the area around Rome if you want to.
Oh, and one thing that I think are we assuming we're enemies with each other, or
And we're enemies with each other. Yeah, it should actually be on the board that we're enemies, and we have a neutral for the other one as well.
Okay.
You're neutral with Greece, and I'm neutral with the barbarian tribes.
There we go. Okay, so I will take my this is my army number 2 general token.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna move 1 here, and then 2, 3 right into there.
So I'm allowed to ask Nick how many cards he's got in that army, but that's the only thing I can ask.
Okay. So in that army, I have 8 cards, and then all right. Do I have to specify if I have a general or not?
No, you just tell me how many cards. Yeah, you have to tell me if it's a general. But actually, no, you don't. You just have to tell me how many cards.
Because then it would be So it would be 9 total cards because one's a general.
And I'm the same. I'm the same number of cards.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
my decision now is: do I want to stand and fight, or do I want to try and evade the fight and move away? If Nick's run out of movement, probably, so I could possibly dodge it. So, what's the terrain in that area, Nick? For me, is it just 1?
The terrain is 2 trees and 2 mountain icons.
Oh, it's the northern. It's Salamanca. Yeah, it's massive terrain. So basically, what I'm looking at in my hand to try is my army suited to fighting in difficult terrain, or is it really going to struggle in difficult terrain? And it's not bad. So I will take the option to stand and fight.
Okay.
So we have a battle. Okay.
Perfect.
So the way the battle works is in phases, which are being put on the board for you. So the first thing is you do is establish the nature of the battlefield, which is about how much terrain there is in the area. So we have 4 terrain at the moment, and we also declare what level of general. So I've got a competent general there. I think you've got a talent in it from memory, haven't you?
Yeah. So
you're one better than me for that. That's fine. I'm going to play a prepared battlefield card, an action card that's allowed in the campaign phase. Allows me to alter the amount of terrain up or down by 1.
okay.
And I'm going to actually increase it by 1. So we're going to fight in an even more difficult area where there's five terrain.
Ooh, interesting. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. So, unless Nick's got any other cards to play that affect that, that's the battlefield. So imagine we're now fighting a battle on the battlefield that's full of mountainous hills and woods. So it's not nice open plain terrain at all. It's quite opposite. So it's a good little example. Actually.
Yeah.
And then you fight in phases, and these phases are a very quick way of representing an ancient battle. So what we have is the first thing you've got to do if you're trying to fight a battle is get control of whatever terrain there is, if there is any. So we're going to fight combats, which is a card against a card, and we have to fight a combat for every single amount of difficult terrain on the battlefield. So we have to do 5 combats in difficult terrain, which will use the lower dice on a card, the difficult terrain dice on a card, which will not be good for Rome typically, because your legionary is great in the open, but not great in terrain. So it's a good demonstration for people, this actually. In terrain, in the fight for terrain, you can either deploy a main battle card, or all non-skirmishers are main battle cards. You can play a foot skirmisher on its own if you want to, and that's a good trick for the Romans because the Romans have velites, which are the best rough terrain skirmishers in existence. The benefit of the better general is that, Nick, you have what's called a reveal. You have 1 reveal. So we're going to play cards simultaneously face down into the active zone of the battlefield. But I'm just wondering how to set that up to do that. If you put those cards on, that's it. Yeah, set it up like that. We're going to use the next stage. That's the safe zone. The next bit to the right, we're going to use as the active zone, and the distant bit to the right is the dead zone. That's the convention. Okay.
Yep.
And you can always do that in front of you. So I will do it for me, away from me, but that will allow the viewers to see what's going on far better, given your setup. So we're going to play cards face down, but at one point in the battle, for 1 combat, you can claim a reveal from your better general. You can look at my card in advance and change your choice if you wish to do so. So that's the benefit of the better general, is they get revealed. Okay? So
yeah.
If you pick a card for the first fight in terrain.
So at this point I could say because of my better general, I can ask you to reveal card first.
Yeah, to reveal the first one. So you basically declare it after people have chosen. So you wait for me to choose.
Okay, got it. Okay.
You to choose, technically, and then at that point, now you can stack cards. So we can stack in. We can stack a foot skirmisher with a foot main battle card if we wish to do so. I'm gonna go for that. So I'm gonna play my first card face down. I've got it in front of me face down, and you can basically decide, would you like me to reveal the first one or not?
Yes.
So I have deployed a Hispanic Scutari. So you can choose what to play against it in the rough terrain, having known that, which basically means you want to use one of your velites to do that, because it makes my card redundant.
Okay, so you are showing this card.
Doing that, yeah, that's it. And your logical thing to do with that is to play a velites if you've got one, because it means you've not got much at risk of being damaged by my yellow dice.
And yes, so I do have one in my army, so I will play the velite.
And how this works for everybody is there's a little bit of an order in the order in which dice are rolled. So skirmishers, you can imagine, will be throwing sticks at my lot from a distance. So they get to roll first. And they are very dangerous in terrain, velites. They get 2 white dice. So you roll 2 white dice first, Nick.
All right. Hope for some early casualties here.
And you could kill me.
Oh my gosh.
A total miss.
Total
Excellent.
miss. Those spears did not hit, or whatever
And
they.
your skirmisher is at that point is retired to safety under your general.
The velites are retired to safety.
Yeah, under your general. So there's a convention, you put it under your general. And mine, because he survives totally, also goes safely under my general.
Okay.
You don't be showing, you can literally just stack them.
Yep.
So,
okay.
So that was a neat use of a reveal, because one of my dangerous cards in terrain has actually done nothing, because all it came up against was a bunch of skirmishers holding terrain. So,
which is a good again, simulation of the actual PC game, because when you have your fast, auxiliary forces, you're clicking them, sending them forward, and then pulling them back right away. So I think.
And the skirmishers are lightly equipped and deliberately designed to evade fights, basically.
Yep. So
cool. Now into our second fight in terrain, but you can't use reveals anymore. So I'm going to play. I'm going to play one face down, and you declare. So okay. I'm this time playing just a skirmisher. I have a Balearic Slinger.
So I have to show, and then I flip at this point.
Yeah, put the Balearic Slinger down for me.
And you said Slinger, yeah.
I would have been better playing a different card there, because I would have had a chance of killing you. So all I'm going to get is a black card against you, a black dice against you, and then we'll have the same effect. My skirmishers retire, and your starter I've just kept them busy.
All right, let's see.
This is a very good example. Oh, okay, a wound. So my skirmishers did some good work. So you turn your card sideways and leave it in the active zone. That shows that it's wounded.
Okay.
Mine back under my general, which shows that it's safe. But this card convention is really easy once you've got the hang of it.
Okay.
Right. Third combat in terrain. So I'm going to deploy that one. Let's see what you put down this time.
Okay.
Okay. I've got a war elephant.
Oof. Ooh, a war elephant. All right. That's going to be.
Okay. So I get a green dice in terrain, but I've got an S effect. They stomp on pretty much anything, except skirmishers. So if Nick had put a foot skirmisher down, that would be the ideal opponent for a war elephant. A bunch of legionaries is quite a nice target in terrain. So they're trying to keep their ranks steady in some difficult terrain while these elephants are trundling towards them. So we roll these simultaneously because they're both main battle cards. It's a green for me and a white for you.
All right, green for Carthage, white for Rome. Oops, that was not. Oh my gosh.
And
two blanks.
Nil. Oh, okay. That's a good one for you then. So your card goes safe. Leave the wounded one where it is, but that one goes safe. And my war elephant goes safe. Dang. That's my best card. It didn't do any damage. Never mind. Away it goes.
All right.
Next fight in terrain. And I'm going to deploy that one. So you again. Go. I've got a Hispanic Scutari. Okay, so if my Scutari are better than you in terrain, in the open, you'd be better than me. You'd be yellow, white, with an S killing any infantry. But in the terrain, you're a white without S killing infantry, and I'm actually a yellow, and the S does kill. So I'm materially better off with the Hispanic Scutari in terrain, which makes total sense. So it's a yellow versus a white.
All right. All right, equal results.
Okay, so a wound for me kills the card underneath that's already wounded. So think of it as being a neighbouring one that's finally dwindled, and that goes in a dead pile to the right. That's it. So that's down in the dead pile, and correctly you wounded mine. Exactly. And yours in the middle was safe because it wasn't damaged, so that goes safe. So that's it. And our last fight in terrain. And I've got a Numidian Javelin, and I've nothing much left that can do damage. Oh, okay. So I get a white dice, and then again we'll retire to safety.
White first, and I get two whites then.
You do.
So we'll do your white first.
Yeah. Actually, you don't. I'm a skirmisher. I get on my own, so I'll retreat into safety.
Oh, okay. So your roll was an S.
an S would have killed an elephant if I was up against an elephant, but nothing else. So I go to safety and you go to safety. So the
Or
terrain,
or the S
like
would have killed uh,
probably a foot skirmisher.
a
Yeah,
foot skirmisher. Okay.
yeah, foot skirmisher or elephant. Yeah. So both of those cards are going safe in the terrain, and that's the end of the fight for terrain. So most of this battle, of course, is a fight for terrain. Now, what's important is those cards that are now safe are safely in terrain. They can't be injured by anybody in the remaining phases of the battle. So we're not going to actually be battering the hell out of each other here. This is going to be a fairly passive fight. The next phase we have is the fight for the flank. So we've done the fight for the train. And so this is quite an interesting battle already because the Romans' army is very ill-suited to fighting in terrain, but you've only suffered one loss. So my troops haven't done anything like the damage they could have done in this sort of battlefield. We now move on to the fight for the flanks, which is the next bit. So we each declare how many main battle cards we have that are cavalry or chariots. I've got one.
And I also have one.
So we are going to fight just one fight for the flanks, and nobody's going to have any cards left for an envelopment. If I'd had 3 cards, we would fight one combat, and I could save the other 2 for an envelopment later, like can I? But we're just going to have a cavalry fight on an open area somewhere. So I'm placing a veteran citizen cavalry.
Okay. And I had an allied cavalry.
They just fight head to head. You have a yellow, and I have a yellow and white.
And then in regards to the unit that's wounded on your side, they would stays
there. Think of it as on the edge of the next fight. So it's at risk in the next fight. So there we go. Yeah. So I'm rolling a yellow and white. These are simultaneous. Just a cavalry smash.
Because now we're looking at the good terrain dice because
the upper ones, yes. So we're in good terrain now. We're out of that horrible quagmire that we were fighting in before.
Ooh, a kill.
Skill. So that kills that cavalry, and you've got, I think, straight yellow back at me.
Yep. So I still get to. It's simultaneous, right?
Yep. Simultaneous, yeah. So you finished off in that fight the infantry on the edge of it that were wounded. So they go in the dead pile. That's it. Your cavalry dies, and my cavalry go back behind the general, not under it, for a reason we'll come to later. So a separate save pile, if you like, next to or that's it. That's fine.
Okay.
And then we have the fight for the center. I have 2 cards left. I think you've probably got the same.
Yes.
It's now advantage you actually. So okay. So I will place that one. Okay, I've got a citizen spearman. I've got a decent
so yeah, so I don't know if is this
it has to be stacked with an infantry main battle card. So
yes.
Put it be legionary.
Okay, so at this point I don't have any infantry.
Okay, borrow another legionary. We'll treat you to an extra card just so we can show you how it works.
Oh, okay. So I'll take.
Go. Okay. So now you have a Roman legionary to play with an artillery. So you can stack on top of a cavalry skirmisher. You can stack on top of a main battle card in the fight for the center, an artillery, and the skirmisher. You can have 3. So put a legionary with your catapult behind it. That looks like fun. And that's up against a citizen spearman.
Okay.
Brilliant. That one down. Great. And in the sequence of dice rolling here now, what would happen is artillery would roll first. If the enemy have got skirmishers, they have to roll skirmishers. So the skirmish screen will protect the other infantry. Otherwise, they roll the main battle card. And then if either of us had skirmishers, they roll next. And then after that, actually it would be bowmen if there are any, but there aren't any in these armies. Long range main battle card, and then simultaneously the rest. So the sequence creates the effect of the battle. So your Origa gets to roll first. So you get to roll 2 whites and my close order infantry as they're closing to battle.
Which again evokes how a battle would occur in the PC game, because of course your siege equipment are firing well ahead of
Okay, so you got an X and an S. Now look at the S effect on a catapult for a minute. We've got a really interesting effect, I think, from memory. So an S effect will kill anything that's probably tightly together. Kills any close. So anybody that's packed really tightly together is a
Yeah,
great target.
which makes sense. That's the type of.
Close order. See the foot shield symbol at the top there?
Yep.
So they've actually been destroyed by the artillery if
Boom.
we make it back. So that's a fantastic result for Rome. And your two cards are pulled back next to your general, not under it. And now we come to the reason that they're next to it is I've got one card left. So I have a Libyan spearman left. Anybody who's used now in this or an element can't attack anybody who survived the fight for terrain. So the ones under your general stack are officially safe, whatever. I can't attack those. They're in terrain and safe, but I can attack anything else. So I'm going to attack that infantry that you've got back there, your Roman infantry, and try and kill it off. And I just get you don't put him in the middle because he's not fighting back. I just get a free attack on him, so I get 2 white on him. So I've got a 1 in 9 chance of killing him off. 2 X results I need. Only did a wound, and that would leave him wounded in the center, but it's the end of the battle, and anybody wounded just goes back into the safe box at that time.
Okay.
So we now add up how much damage we did, and in main battle cards. And I think we each killed 2 main battle cards.
Yep.
So it's a tie. So it's not good news for either of us. We both lose those; they go into the reserve pack, and we pick up our other cards. And our armies have been reduced down to 6-card armies. And the invading army, the attacking army, has to fall back. So we have defended the territory successfully, but we didn't do any more than that.
So I just fall back to where I came from?
Fall back to where you came from. Yeah, I lose those 2. They go in the reserve stack. You lose 2 cards, and we've now each got a 6-card army there instead.
All right. Well, that was simple enough.
That was a good result for you overall. Now, every battle, just to finish it off, once you get used to this, because you're playing both sides and rolling both dice, so that took a long time, and I'm explaining it. You'll find it takes about 3 minutes to fight a battle once you're both rolling your own dice and making your own decisions. But what I love about it is every battle has a distinct narrative. So if that was written up in history, that would be something along the lines of Roman general whatever marched into the very difficult terrain of northern Spain, aiming to get to a plain to deploy their heavy Roman infantry. Unfortunately, they were intercepted and forced to fight in difficult terrain with an ambush out of some forests, which led to a bloody battle, which was largely inconclusive, forcing the Romans to retire.
Yeah, and I think again, I bring up a lot about how it's similar to the PC game, but it's creates obviously a lot of variability in these combats when you incorporate the terrain, because in this case we had 5 different fight for terrain battles, because we're in a heavy terrain part of the map. You also of course played your card to add one
Exactly.
but obviously then there's other parts of the map that are much more open, and that's going to affect your decisions of what troops you want to try to recruit and which battles you want to fight. In this case, it probably wasn't the smartest, as you were saying. Maybe I got maybe lucky, we'll say, in terms of not suffering as many losses as I could have, given my legions weren't as well suited to fight in a heavier terrain environment. But that's also a calculated risk too, and that makes the
absolutely, and actually it leads to all sorts of interesting decisions of what you recruit. The spying thing's quite useful, because if you spied on my army and discovered I was all similar heavy foot, you wouldn't care. It'd be fine. Yeah.
And just like the PC game, now that I have fought that army, and he knows what I have in my army number 2, and now I know exactly what he has in his army number 2, so I have to decide, well, is it worth taking my chances again?
Exactly. I'm having the same thought of thinking, well, if I come over the Pyrenees into there's not much terrain in there. I think there's only 1 on that one, is there? In the
here there's 3 up here. Yeah.
So I'm looking at the map going, well, that's interesting. His army is still stuck in an area with lots of terrain. Maybe I should pursue him if I think I'm better in terrain and have a go. So I've got the same things going on in my decision making at the moment. When it comes to my campaign phase, and that's where the effect of winning initiative is interesting, because you went before me this turn, so I'm left with the option to sort of pursue you and follow up.
Yep.
when we get.
Yep.
So there's lots of so no bit of this is difficult. The combat system is basically run by the dice, and the cleverness is the dice. Well, I've done it for you. It's all there. All you have to do is pick them up and roll them. You know, the only thing you need to know is are you rolling the top ones or the bottom ones, and read the card. So
Yeah.
that reflects the nature of the troops. So again, if we look at these troops, if you take my just to show people as you finish, you take a Libyan spearman and just put him down against your legionary for a minute, Nick. It's a really salutary reminder of how much terrain is going to affect these two armies. So if you just stick a Roman legionary next to it, there we go. Now, if we study these cards for a minute, there's a lot going on them. You know, they're both close order infantry. In the open, Nick's artillery is very dangerous to me. That's not pretty. I get 2 whites, which is a very steady result. Because there's 2 dice, it cancels out some volatility. That's quite deliberate. But my S results at the bottom are cancelling out cavalry attacks with long spears, holding them at bay. That have no special effects on infantry. If you look at the Republican legionary, I think it's got a yellow and the white dice. Now that's much more dangerous, like twice as dangerous in terms of damage done, and his S effect is destroying enemy infantry. So my card gets destroyed with an S. So he's probably twice as likely to kill me per roll as I am to kill him. So if we fought this battle without all that terrain and we had 5 of those against each other, my Libyan spearman would almost certainly get crushed by the Romans.
Yes.
It's very realistic. Very realistic. So there you have it. That's our first battle thought, and it's a pretty interesting one because it was quite extreme in terms of terrain. So we'll press on from there.
All right.